Hi, this is Jan with Jan's Jewelry Supplies. Welcome to another video. Today I'll be showing you how to repair a brooch. I have this vintage pin to show you the different parts. On this side you have the joint and the pin, and on this side you have your catch, and it has a little swivel on it to hold the pin in place, and the opening of the catch always goes down. On this particular piece you could actually glue a pin on the back going across if you didn't have the two mechanisms, but in many cases you don't have that option. Here's some samples of some different bar pins. Generally the heavier they are, the better quality they're going to be. Every one of these are just your standard bar pin. And some of these are brass, some are plated, some are steel. And this is your catch, and your catch will go with pretty much every pin. And here's another example of a catch. And this is a swivel. This swivel is actually for a coil pin. This one is for a T-pin. This one is also for a coil pin. And these are coil pins. This is another example of a coil pin. And these are T-pins. You can see the little nodules on the side, the little T's. These are vintage pins. You'll find them in the vintage pieces, and they're referred to as T-pins. I'm going to be using this large piece that I made as an example for the repairs. I have my parts here. This is the joint that will be applied to one end, and this is the catch that will be applied to the other end. Oftentimes you're going to find a piece and you can't find a pin for it, but you can generally find a hat pin. This is actually a hat pin that I'm using. This piece is probably 7 inches long, and these hat pins were right around 6 inches. I'm cutting the head off of it. I'm just going to make a little coil in it. I'm just turning the ends. And this can only be used with the coil joint. It can't be used with the T-joint. Trying to find a pin that is long with the little T at the end of it is going to be next to impossible. You probably would do better to replace the joint with a coil joint if you have a large piece. And generally 2.5 inches is about the longest you're going to be able to find a pin for any given brooch. I just want to make sure the pin will actually fit inside the catch. Generally that's not a problem. By looking at this vintage pin, you can see which side the joint goes on and which side the catch goes on. And the catch will be facing down. The opening of the catch will be facing down. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and see where I want to place my joint and my catch. I'm going to go ahead and lay down some solder. And I am using 300-degree solder with a heat gun. If you were repairing a piece that is pot metal, a torch would actually melt it. So using 300-degree solder with a heat gun, you're going to be safe on most of your pieces, unless you just do it for too long and it could get hot enough to actually melt it. A lot of times I will use a third hand to hold my pieces in place while I solder them, because if you shake even a little bit, you're going to disturb the solder while it's setting. I'm just looking to see where the catch needs to go. And I'm having to move it over a little bit further than I had planned. So I'm just going to lay down a little bit of solder for the catch. I'm going to go ahead and put the coil pin in, and just lay it in that little opening and squeeze the opening shut around the loop or the coil. And you want to do it tight enough that it stays in, but not so tight that it will no longer move. Having the pin set in place gives me a better idea of exactly the angle and the location of the catch, where it needs to be to work properly. And I've already laid down my solder. This little piece is a little bit larger than the joint, so I'm going to go ahead and use a third hand to hold it in place. And as I'm heating it up, I'm going to use the pliers to apply just a slight bit of pressure to make sure that the catch actually has good contact with the solder that I laid down. There are many pieces that you can just glue or solder a bar pin to, but when you have a piece that curves or is open in the center, you can't do that because you will see the bar pin. As you can see, this pin actually goes to the back of the fabric, so you're not going to see that, but if you had it on a bar pin, you would see the bar pin in the front. So anyway, this is the final piece. As you can see, this is a huge brooch. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.